look, really.
Yeah, it's a classic, yeah.
Yeah, you remember some of the old school greats, right? The sort of just polos with the limited sort of embroidery on it. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I think it's very different from sort of what you'd think of synonymously with Vitality, but they do look good in them. God, look at Apex.
Hey, sometimes simple is the best, you know? Like, well, we might be saying that, maybe saying that later today as well, Falcons, but...
Yeah, that's a game-free line, right?
Exactly. Whoops, I spoiled the script. My bad.
Oh, man. Well, stay in store for that one and strap yourselves in for this one. Opening game of the day here. BO1 over on the B stream for the Perfect World RMRs on the lead up to the Shanghai Major. Very cutthroat, of course, as per usual. If it's your first time watching RMRs, then strap in because it is high octane. You really cannot afford yourself to struggle. Go down 0-1 early. It can cause an absolute rift for your run through the RMRs. You want to start it off with your best foot forward, and we're getting into Inferno to do just that. Vitality on the CT side. GamerLegion will be a tease for this one.
And it's exactly what you said. Like, this is what happened to Furia. They lost their first map. They were fighting until the very end. 2 back-to-back best-of-3s to keep themselves going forward in the tournament. And so starting off on the best possible foot here is huge. But these also, I feel like the first match of an RMR, best of ones, are always where teams like Vitality are a little bit weak.
Wow, early. It's damage done onto Mezzi. He's brought down to 8 HP in the back of the pit. Oh, snapshot from Mezzi, though. Okay. Meanwhile, Flamus is doing all the fancy footwork with a Glock. And this round's swinging a little bit. Could still have some interesting moments left inside of it as Mezzi phases through the smoke up close and personal, but Flamus, oh, on for a cheeky 4K. Does it like a gangster with a Glock burst, Vince?
Yeah, the burst fire is not something you see too often, but when it does peel back a dome, it has real consequences. Vitality conceding the first round. I said a little bit weak. I should have said fragile. I think that's a better word. They're not necessarily weak, but I feel like they are fragile at the start of every tournament. This has been a historical thing, especially in Apex's career, I would say. A lot of French CS over the years has struggled with this when you go back to the Envious and the Titan days. A consistent theme, so we'll see if they can plug the gap. And on the CT side, it's even more fragile, enough to break with how brittle the economy is right now. Double nades as well, up and over, is going to shred Mezzi. Now into the open, he will fall. Zyru gets one with a USP, but has to back through the fire. That's the player advantage and the health advantage firmly in favor of GL.
Now they've just got to keep it clean. Early pressure applied onto the B-bomb site. Good use of the Molotovs as well. It forces Zywu out of the off angle. He's tapping down, but the USP isn't able to deliver. And they bypass the first 2 checks of the bomb site. Now you can get the plant in and close this one down. Obviously low HP on Slend. Not too great for Volt and ZTR either. They should be able to get through this one relatively unscathed. It's only Spinks with the P250 looking to play for the exits back towards CT spawn.
Yeah, 1 casualty early on. Torsen won't likely be any added bodies to the list, although when you look at the HP bars of Slend and Volt, that bomb could end up being their nemesis. And Spinks with his P250, he's probably aware of a couple players being dinked, so he wants to hang around and just find out. 2-0 though the score, regardless of what happens here. Flamos off to a phenomenal start, but I think the players you're going to be looking out for here more often than not as the tournament progresses, especially, is Torsen and Slend. You discussed Slend before, incredible talent, Bulgarian, decent as well in terms of rating, nearly a 1.1 coming into the tournament over the last 3 months, so he's been finding his fragging, and they're going to require him a lot, I think.
He's fun to watch as well. Like he is someone that sort of takes a lot of fights. He's got a ton of personality, even like when you catch him on the player cams before. I remember like watching him in one of his very first lands during tech timeouts. He's just fully reclined in the chair, kind of living his movie, joking around a lot. When you see him winning rounds as well, very stoic. Like he doesn't react too much, but he pops off in the moment. So there'll be some good vibes for that. Now, these cores have gone head-to-head previously once. That was back at the Blast Premier 4 groups. Vitality won that, Vince, 2-1, but a closer scoreline than you might think. It was an Anubis opener that GamerLegion were able to win 13-10, and then a 19-17 Mirage, and a 13-5 being taken, both by Vitality. That was on Dust 2. So they've had a close bout before. There's been 1 roster change since that period, though. It was Andu being replaced, of course, by Torsen. As you touched on, he should be an extra element of firepower to the team. So maybe this time around it's even tighter.
Yeah, I think Torsen, no disrespect to Andu, but I think Torsen is an upgrade in terms of firepower, and sort of the heavy hitting elements that he brings to this team. They haven't played each other on Inferno, as you highlighted, though. That could be another potential banana peel. And when you look at the previous sort of maps coming into this, Vitality 71% win rate after 7 maps played, some significant scalps as well picked up in the process. But GamerLegion have played it 10 times themselves. They've played a lot of Counter-Strike as well, though, by the way. Like, you're looking at over the last 3 months, they've played a good 50+ maps. So, certainly dialed in. This round, though, 40 seconds left, and there's not really much to communicate or report in. They've just been stalled and stymied by these smokes. Going to be forced to push through the smoke right now, and Apex, he'll be disappointed he didn't do better. But they still have FlameZ at the back of the site to try and deliver some death, try and deny that bomb plant, but it's a 1-for-1. That won't be good enough. They will be into a post-plant position.
God, the shot from Flamus making the AK feel like an AWP with a connection. ZywOo up close towards the smoke, though. It dissipates. Great control of the crosshair. Flicks between both, gives them no room for the trade back and potentially throw it into uncomfortable territory. So it's good. Retakes clean. Instantly on the board, Vitality find their first pickup. And I'm right there with you. I was a little bit worried, right? Apex up close, looking for the gut punch underneath the smoke. When he goes down, relies so heavily on FlameZ at the back of the site. Bought time, and then a good 2-piece from ZywOo.
FlameZ just got the one, but it allowed them to stall away enough eyes away from the coffin push. And ZywOo showing he's not a one-trick pony with the... I think we all know that at this point, though, right? Like, he is an incredibly well-versed player. A jack of all trades, can do it all. Pistols, rifles, AWP, SMGs. That money starting to dwindle. Torsen takes an 8 in the pocket. Eviscerated down to 40 HP, and ZywOo will finish him off through the smoke before he can fully explore the top of Banana. Worst possible start for GamerLegion.
Talisman Torsen down early. Will that come back to haunt them? Still got some key pieces of the roster alive and kicking, though. And Flamus found his form in the pistol round. It was 4 kills to his name with the Glock. 1 since that point. Fadeaway flash towards midside, backing off and posturing round back on B. Got a little bit of a late lurk on Flamus. He's holding further ahead of the rest of the pack. Still 3 players on the A bomb side for the CT side of Vitality. Quick utility head count as well. They've got nades to play with, but it's an advanced angle for FlameZ. On top of the box, takes the first engagement. No rapid trade, even gets the incendiary out to buy a bit of time. CTR does peek back in. You've done the real damage already. Time becomes a bit more of an issue as well now, so they can rotate back over and ZywOo can assist.
Yeah, exactly. There's so much stall time there on the clock that now ZywOo is up close. He was rotating through CT when all that confrontation was going down. They were looking to try and displace the CTs for a fast B hit, but that's now been quelled. And Spink's down on middle, 20 seconds on the clock. Doesn't need to get frags, just needs to stand his ground. He's gone in and been picked off. There is enough time if they run straight for the site to get that plant down. It's going to be incredibly close, and Mezzi may only need the 1 kill to seal the deal for this round. Vault through right now has been nullified, and that is the round going the way of Vitality. But Spinks could have had this so much cleaner if he just held position and waited.
Went for the peek in. Got beheaded because of it. They got a whole lot closer. Luckily, King Mezzi was in position. All he had to do was deny the bomb plant there. 4 seconds directly on the timer as he jumped on towards the site. A limited opportunity. He could have got the bomb down, of course, but that 1 frag makes a world of difference.
Let's go!
That's what we were talking about, Vince.
Such a magnetic presence is Apex. That flash is on point, though. Supportive element comes in. Not so much, but to be fair, FlameZ was very low HP after that first incursion. Smoke up as well, but that is an M4 that is retrievable for GamerLegion. A bit of a freebie. Torsen, who's had a rough start to this game, peppered on Banana multiple times. You saw that jump shot connected by ZywOo in the last. Hasn't really had a chance to flourish, but maybe this is his moment.
I mean, they've got the flashbang. It's in the hands of ZTR. So if you go for the push around quad side, that's the one bit of utility that can make a world of difference in an angle like this. Just under a minute on the clock. Sole defender of the site is Mezzi. He's heard the nade. Looking down. Paranoid about the peek out. There's the run on in. Spam it to the back line's good. Fast flick as well. Mezzi buying all the time for the rest of the squad to wrap back around. So you're on the site, sure, but how good is the post plant?
Couple smokes have now been deployed. But Apex has a fast track. A clean push through onto quad. Unbeknownst to him, he is still watching out for the Apps peak. Both players pretty healthy on their rifles, though. And Vitality have already eaten half of that timer off the clock. The fuse getting dangerously low at detonation. And ZTR on the overwatch with the spray. That could be good enough to seal this round up. Torzen also pivots round. Apex on low HP has to get the hell out of there. But he's already fully committed. And GamerLegion with one AK coming into the round have made it work. And they regain the lead.
And look at the knock-on effect. Vitality's cash flow severed instantly. The funds run dry. It forces your hand a whole lot more. They've got to rejig the money a little bit, figure out how to get the best possible buy out of this with the upgraded pistols. Yeah, that's what you were talking about there. 6 HP on Flamesy. So Nate goes over just in case it's a full commit off the back of knowing his angle. Of course, we've done a ton of damage to everyone else, so it's worth the risk. You sacrifice one man in the long run. All in all, Mezzi tried to make the play to buy time to the A side, but GamerLegion will grab it. These are the scary rounds though, Vince. Ooh. ZywOo straight out on middle. Snipes back against Slen. So first pick's good for the CTs.
Yeah, making the most of their spawns as well. So a hit and run. Slen down. 68 ADR so far. Torzen will be called upon here to have impact one more time. Apex on the shoulder peak. As soon as he spots a pixel, the smoke will go down. That could be the call anyway with a flash. And there it is. Smoke put in. CZ, interestingly. Over the 5-7.
They might be walking into the lion's den here. Info peak goes out though. Stereo face from either side. So they get the read on the round. This could be so flip-floppy. I mean, 40 seconds, Spink's up close, seeing shoulders, and the back of the head comes round. It's Volton's now down. Oh, the follow-up dink as well. Mate, how has it gone so wrong? You go into that round with, what, 2 rifles and 5 sevens, and they just feed themselves to them.
Yeah, not a single loss of life for Vitality, and they've now traded up to 2 AKs. That is a huge boon. I mean, just as we're talking about their economy being in the bin, in the drain, they force up, and they've just had a huge power play boost up. And now it's the T's turn to feel the economic burn. They're down to $1,400, $1,500. Tactical timeout coming through. The thing that does surprise me just a little bit, Jackie, is once you've lost a player from a double hit on middle, you use no smokes and no flashes to peek through mid. Like, I understand you may not want to make it too obvious and premeditate where you want to push in, but at that point, with a player advantage, you have to assume the CTs are stacking at least a player or two there. It's these final 2 kills here, like, you see how much utility both players have. Neither of them throwing a single flash. Spinks is licking his lips, he's loving life there with the 5-7.
Yeah, a lot of individual fights that went against them. And you're right, you had a good read. Bit of information was given to him off the back of the double face, of course. But hey-ho, it's the way the game goes at the minute. GamerLegion, they have that opportunity to take a quick timeout, get Ash involved. He comes across, they go for a quick banana hit with the Tech 9 and Mac 10 investment. Nades are going to be meaty though. Already so much damage. Follow-up, not as impactful as I thought it would be, but you've softened them up enough that the M4s can convert these kills relatively easily on a push.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm right with you. I thought that second nade was going to be a nuclear warhead going off in banana. It barely scratched anybody. But it'd already been done. The damage had already been inflicted, plus the smoke in the face of GamerLegion, so no chance of catching players with nades in their hands. So realistically, Vitality have just put one giant step forward to claiming a 4th round. And it's going to be down to some... It'll have to be some run-and-gun, insta-headshot shenanigans on the approach here if GamerLegion can even get into a post-plant. Because now, whereas there was 3 players over on B, they have cheated over ZywOo onto the A site. And he's joined the rest of his teammates. And shots being whizzed past his head from Upper balcony now dropping down, but it's into their watery grave. As 4 Vitality members chip in and get themselves on the scoreboard once more. And Torsen, best case scenario is the 1 kill on the way out, and that's not going to be forthcoming. So, second consecutive round, Vitality losing 0 players.
And to put it in perspective, Vitality following the player break, they've only missed playoff once. That was at IEM Katowice 2024. They placed 13th, 16th. Outside of that, they've had some great runs. A win at IEM Cologne, coming close a fair few times as well. Blast Premier in the fall final, that was a 3rd, 4th. And of course, even with Jack standing in right back at the world final without Messi on the server, that was another 3rd, 4th for them this year. So playoff runs have been good. Team's been elevating that skill level. This is one of these BO1 tests in an RMR that you just want to get yourselves through as easily as possible. Set themselves one step closer on the journey to the major. For GamerLegion, going into the 8th, nothing to work with, just Glocks. Don't burn another timeout, just use this one as a timeout. Walk around, have a bit of a chat, gives the entire team room to clear the bag, get Ash involved going into the following buy as well, where he can then instill what he wants during that during the timeout in between with a freeze time, and then see how far you want to take it.
I think you hit the nail on the head as well, Jackie. I mean, it's the same story for every single one of the quote-unquote favorite teams. Is you just get through the first game.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be sexy. It doesn't have to be super clean and efficient. Just get the W. Obviously, the faster it goes by, the better. You can relax. You can just chill, sit back, watch the rest of the Counter-Strike unfold. But these first matchups are not easy. There are no freebies. This round will be, though. Full on eco. Being dispatched as Apex and Flamesy both chip in. And the bomb has also been fumbled to the deck. Vitality will be off to a 5-3 lead after a bit of a shaky start. Flamus, though, is going to punish at least one player and picks up the M4. So they have lost their first player now in 3 rounds on the side of Vitality. But money is looking good.
Oh, instant dink on the peak. And converted in the end by Flamesy up close and personal. You know, for players looking for their major debut with cool names, though, got to give it to Flamus, mate. If he makes it to the major, Flamus stickers. I enjoy Flamus. I feel like, again, it's another one of those sort of weird power words. We don't really know what it means, but it sounds good to say.
Ah, true, true. We've got a Flamesy, we've got a Flamus. Flamey as well, back in the day.
It's like Pokemon.
Yeah, got to catch them all. It's a different, like, evolution. So who'd be at the top? Flamesy, I guess, right now?
Yeah, Flamesy would be the, like, full evolution.
Yeah.
Flamus would be, like, the starter form,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. That's fair. I don't think many people would argue with that.
I think that's how that would go.
Yeah.
Would be hilarious. You're just comming in your own name. Flamus. Oh, Flamesy using his firepower to try and defend towards Banana, but Torsen, even whilst blind, finds the entry. Quick timing. Oh, goes in aggro. You love to see it. Shuts down Apex. That's the B site wide open.
And probably the round. I mean, Vitality have a ton of cash. But when you consider that ZywOo's down at 2100, yes, they can buy no problems, but you're still fairly early on in this half. You've still got quite a bit of Counter-Strike to play. So 5v3 on Inferno B site is incredibly tough, even for these players. The stature that you have, ZywOo, Spinks, Mezzy, all heavy-hitting players in their own right, but it's not worth the risk. They'll pull the plug and save, and just like that, GamerLegion have brute forced their way into a 4th round, forcing Vitality to readjust into the next one. Flamus is actually on the flank as well. He's looking to try and put some serious pain and suffering onto these saving players. But he is alone for the time being, and he's more just looking for a fact-finding mission on balcony. He hasn't fully committed just yet.
Terrorists win.
Yeah, they're going to be able to hold on, no problems.
It's mad to think about as well, Vince. Obviously, incredibly different lineups for both teams. I think only 3 of the players on the server in Apex, Spinks, and ZywOo, the only ones that remain. But these were the 2 organizations that went head-to-head, right? The final CSGO major back in Paris. This was our grand final with these orgs. So there is a bit of prestige behind both names following that point. We've seen sort of different outcomes, really, on how both teams have expanded since that day, though. Long time ago now. Feels like years and years ago.
Yeah, the CS landscape moves so fast, doesn't it? It's so rapid. It's why when you have a coach like Ash being at GamerLegion now for 4+ years, that's a significant chunk of time. even longer in Counter-Strike terms. He has kind of become Mr. GamerLegion, I think, in a lot of people's eyes. Understandably so. But now his team need to try and deliver some more pain and suffering, because even though they got 4 rounds so far, we know Vitality a very strong T-sided squad on Inferno. So each and every round is going to be worth so very much to GamerLegion. Posturing up just on Banana again. But no real estate that they can play with just yet, Jackie. I mean, they do have Banana control for the time being, but they still need to deal and displace ZywOo and Flamesy, who are on the site waiting.
And that word could be key, displacement. ZywOo, that's what he wants to do with the AWP. Leave them black and blue on contact, bruise them up. Ooh. Stopwatch moment. Could have been the timing for the peak. Flashes over the top. Flamus causing problems as well. That's round on Arch side. So seed of doubt in the back of the minds for the CTs. And GamerLegion haven't committed to the burst just yet. They're grouped up inside of the smoke, going to walk through together and look to swarm the site. You could even get a bit of a wrap-off round the back from Torsen if the time works well for him. And ZTR, through the smoke, shuts down the AWP of ZywOo. So the Spear of Vitality laid to rest. Flames, though, can he reignite the round? 15 seconds. Oh, boy. If he could have shut down one more, rub a bit of time off the clock, maybe there was something to be said about this being an upsetting round. Instead, though, it's GamerLegion doing what they've done throughout this match. They answer back, and they will drag themselves 5-5.
I think dragging back is actually a really good way of expressing sort of how this game has gone. It's not been the cleanest of takes for GamerLegion, but they're just hanging on in there. I mean, it's quite unbelievable to me. They didn't lose a single player. Volt's very low. Torsen took a bit of damage as well, but you're waiting for that sort of penny to drop, but Vitality just pop off like ZywOo has a ZywOo moment. Didn't ever come. Never arrived. And with this save, they'll be able to buy again without too many issues. The 5 rounds in the T-half is looking good. And that's without Slend activating. He's 1-7. He's a very good static kind of AWP with the aggressive peaks that Inferno affords you. So I expect his fortunes will change once halftime hits.
He's got the big green going into the next as well. I feel like his internal timing has always been something that helps him a lot as a player. Per map, it seems like he knows where his sort of threshold is to find a way to activate the round, right? So first 30 seconds of Inferno, he's looking for those plays. He knows how to switch it up on a map-by-map basis. He's not one of these AWPers that sort of gets into his own head. So even the fact he's 1-7, I don't imagine that's going to be bothering him. He's very stoic with these kind of things. He'll reset, he'll still try and play to the best of his ability. And this is a game to do it, right? If he comes alive, at the minute you're being presented an opportunity where there's been some potentially icky rounds for GamerLegion. But still, it's Vitality that also aren't playing at 100% right now. So 5-5, room to breathe. We head back in, round 11. Another AWP brought back out for ZywOo as well.
Yeah, I think it is a very solid assessment, I should say, to establish that Vitality aren't playing at their A game, not even close to it. But best of ones, early start for an RMR. These are always going to be shaky matches for pretty much everybody. It's why I'm anticipating a lot of upsets today and tomorrow as well, especially. And we could be on the cards for our first one right here, right now. GamerLegion, without their star players really landing the mark yet, it's such a solid collective effort. Flamus has got tons of entries. ZTR has looked sharp alongside Volt as well. Once again, Vitality forcing away GamerLegion. But they already have half of Banana control. And Vitality, for the most part, haven't really been playing retake on Banana. We haven't seen that many pop flashes into pushes. Yes, Flamesy's been holding sandbags with HEs and flashes designated from Apex, but it's got a little bit quiet on that front over the last few rounds. And you can see that GamerLegion's confidence on the Banana control has really gone to a fever pitch. Like, they're really feeling it right now.
Even here, early on, you call in for the initial backup of ZywOo on the site. And Flamus, he's had a couple of opportunities with these late backstabs on Arch, so it's made ZywOo a bit suspicious about the timing. So he holds around on library side. You can see he's taking so long to clear this, bit by bit on the wrap back in, just in case they've got an advanced position. But the raw finish seems to be an A hit. Spinks turns the flash, goes out for the info. Does he know about ZTR? Oh, shouldn't matter. First flick over on the Slend is good, but there is a rapid trade, and ZywOo on the bomb site, egging him on. He wants them to step into his lair. He's got support in the pit with Mezzi waiting to murk him, and their time is starting to run out. 13 seconds on the clock, looking for a bait out on the shot. The ZywOo holds strong. Flick up, doesn't connect. ZTR coming in. Torsten from the back. Got to jump on that bomb now, though. Needs the plant. They can advance up for it. With such little health. And he's 16 to his name. Unless they give him the 1v1s, this should be a round back for Vitality. Should, though. Here's the big point. ZTR strikes against the first. 2 more to pick up.
Surely he can't do this. 16 HP. They're going to swarm him right now. Take the 1-for-1 trade if you have to. Vitality clutch it. ZTR, though, such a nice effort. I thought he was dead like 5 times. When he went for the plant, all the bullets seemed to go around him. They threw a Molotov. It didn't spread to him somehow, even though they knew where he was at that point. And then he's able to take this super fast clinical headshot. Oh, man. I was beginning to believe, Jackie. Yeah. I was beginning to believe in the miracle.
He was reeling me in. He was reeling me in. It's one of those rounds. A-site Inferno, sometimes crazy things happen. We've seen it over the years. Not this time, though. So last opportunity to see what Slend can do with the scope on his T-side campaign. Last round of the first half as we slip back in.
Super tense, scrappy back and forth game so far between these two, as we expected. Torsten not for the first time taking the brunt of the damage up on Banana. I like that GamerLegion have been mixing it up as well. It's not just constantly being B hits. They've been moving into these late round executes. We've seen a couple of very aggressive hits onto the B site as well. Really making Vitality think about each and every movement. And this round will be no different. It's a bit of a slower pace, but they're keeping their options open. They've got to split across the entire map, and they've drawn out a ton of grenades already off the B defenders. And it's forced Spinks to come around, actually, and to play a reinforcement for the time being.
Well-placed nade, back on mid. Drains some of the battery from Volt. He's left on 65. ZywOo adjusting himself back towards the pit. Utility being used perfectly to make it very uncomfortable for GamerLegion on the final finish here in the last round of the half. They've got some nades of their own, tons of flashbangs. Volt flashes himself in deep round on Arch. ZywOo looking for the run out. Spinks inside of the smoke as well. Stuck in library, flashed out by his teammate. Good first connection. Volt had no idea. Seconds free. Flamus and ZTR though still want to fight for the rest of the half. Don't want to go down easy. ZTR doing a ton of the footwork. Flamus assists, and suddenly it's just Flamesy left.
Oh, he's going to get nailed on the approach from Slend, who had the static angle all day, every day. GamerLegion taking us to a 6-6. After winning the pistol, going down, ended up being a 5-3 to Vitality, and you think, right, here we go. This is where they're going to shift through the gears. They're going to just make serious daylight between the two squads. But GamerLegion grabbed on with both hands and refused to be left behind. Some lovely entry work as well. ZTR.
Yeah.
Man, that's so super quick entry frags at the end.
No, that was really nice to watch. And again, man, yeah, like it looked like it was one of those rounds we didn't really have much stock left. It was just going to blow up in your face on the A side like we'd seen a few times throughout this one, but entirely different on the outcome. Fair play to them. This team looking for majority qualification for most of the roster to their first major. It's only Volt that's been previously, of course, attending twice. Back with the Into the Breach roster that made playoffs in Paris. And then for GamerLegion in Copenhagen as well. It's Slend, ZTR, Flamus, and Torsten that all want to go for the very first time. It can mean so much to these players. And this is where I thought the round was dead and gone, right? Spinks with a flash out through library, set up perfectly. So good to see it on the replay.
Well, if GamerLegion can double up, get both pistols, get that established economy, and get Slend on an AWP as fast as possible, these are keys to victory. Note Vitality, though, are sharp on this D-half, and Torsten out into the open. ZTR's already been peppered, and Torsten expelled. They pierce through the banana control, and immediately GamerLegion, they wrap around onto A. They anticipate that it's going to be a rotational element coming through from the T's. And they want to get as many bodies over onto the A site as possible. They may have overthought things, though, because Vitality now slowly creeping their way up banana with 3 players and the bomb.
The initial damage on this one is going to be prolific as well. Slend and ZTR so close towards Death's Door. Makes it far harder to suddenly turn this into a bit of a swing round on the pistol. A pistol that at 6-6 as well could mean the world of difference. Mezzi setting him up with a smoke over towards CT. Molly on the back of the site. ZTR knows the penalty's dropped. He's going to wrap on in. Single shot through the smoke. Could have taken him down. Still alive and kicking for now. Rest of the squad, of course, slowly making their adjustment back round on Arch side. He's tucked in towards Ruins.
No real damage inflicted across the Vitality either. No kit, no nades. Probability of winning this round is so very low, and with Spinks nailing the first, it just got a whole lot worse. Oh, nice shot from Volt, though, keeping this round alive by the skin of his teeth, but the bomb is ticking away so abruptly. And Apex puts an end to the re-engage. GamerLegion will go behind, not able to pick up their second consecutive pistol. And Vitality onto the fast track to get their T-half started.
Some of these snapshots, though, always make you think there's room for maybe crazy things to happen. GamerLegion showing their no slouches in the head-to-head, the individual firefights. Volt hitting a cracker there. Flamus with some big shots as well. The Glock round was all him, the first pistol round T-side. Problem is, you're still stuck with the pistols, whereas Vitality, they expand their repertoire. Galil's AKs and 2 MAC-10s.
Yeah, I expect they're going to really slow this round down quite a bit, try and facilitate the MAC-10 to get up close. There's ZywOo, he wants that money for the AWP funds, and he's got 2 so far, make it 4. A full eco bash. Ooh, again, Flamus though, fast on the draw. He got aim, there's no doubt about that at all in this GamerLegion roster. But now we need to see it come full circle and exploit itself when there's M4s and MP9s in the mix.
Oh, he denied the 5 with that snapper. Maybe that'll let him steal some of the energy ZywOo was harnessing on the eco bash.
What an interesting buy this is, Jackie.
You know what? I actually kind of don't mind it. If Flamus plays a close angle with the auto shot, you get the setup on the back of the site for the late push out as well. Make him think there's only 2 players at Banana. Could be something to be said for it. He's actually round towards Abs at this point. It gets real messy real quick. Battle down Banana. MP9 thrown to the face of Apex. So you get 1 frag out of it. Volt's still shrouded in the smoke as well.
That's what's going to fade though, as will the life of Volt. And although it did deal damage to ZywOo, it was just the SMG. Lower caliber weapon, lower caliber damage. GamerLegion now into this half, I'd say it's like a chaos spy really, because that's what you're trying to inflict as much as possible. Make this as chaotic as possible, like try and throw Vitality out of their rhythm. But it also tells me as well, Jackie, that they are prioritizing Slend on the AWP to a very high level. Because a lot of teams would have just outright bought M4s that had a couple of lack of utility, maybe on a couple of players with MP9s. But the fact that they held fire there and Slend bought very little, it suggests to me that they're having so much confidence in his ability to deliver with the gun. He's had a slow start so far, but this is where you expect him to start to shine. So everything's kind of been built around that prospect now. But he needs to deliver.
Yeah, it does make the shoe size that you've got to fill a little bit bigger. Probably up to about size 14, Vince. Obviously quite large feet at that point, right? You know, they don't come easy.
I think probably Americans are like 14. What?
What's that?
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure like there's a difference between UK and EU, right? And then I think it's a difference between that and Americans, because...
Well, yeah, like UK size is pretty easy to work out, and then you go to EU sizes, and that'd be like a, I don't know, that'd be like a 42 or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Right? It's all very confusing when we reach that point. And some of the rounds have been quite confusing. There's been a lot of back and forth moments. It was unfortunate as well, the auto shotty there. He was trying to get himself close. I don't think Spink saw him on the peek out. Bit of giggling going on though, always good to see. Love to see Mezzi smiling, laughing. Bodes well for the mood in the team. But you're right, this is the big ticket, right? This is what you've been waiting for. You've got your healthy buyback out. They've got nades to play with and Slend, most importantly, on that wall. He was supporting B early, but already wrapping back round towards Arch.
This is where he got one of his 2 kills in this very position in that post plant. It was Flamesy that walked into his crosshair. This time, though, a little bit more uncomfortable because the Arch presence was backed off by Volt, so he couldn't provide the crossfire. And one flash could have nailed everything against the wall for GamerLegion. Messi so aggressive, though, out early. No utility to supply this. Nearly gets the drop. ZTR with significant damage has to drop the insta-smoke. They force out the utility and make this very uncomfortable for GamerLegion in the process.
It's actually Volt on the rotate as well. So he goes back off the early noise. It was Slend that was playing close on quad. He's tucked himself in pit. Flash over the top. Smoke around the corner. You block off Library and Arch side. Go for the wrap into the bomb site. Slend on the peek out. Good for the first. Shuts down Flamesy. Oh, Mezzy. Snap straight back with a loudmouth Galil. And they're looking to just overwhelm him. Messi does it all on his own. Sprint straight inwards. And that's probably the round gone with it as well.
Perhaps the smile was Messi realizing what was about to happen. Put that chatterbox to use. And close the mouths of GamerLegion and the eyes alongside Spinks. A save is all they can muster. And Slend did get one. Had a bit of impact on the approach, but it just wasn't really enough. And this is where Vitality, they may have been playing at like a C-level game for their own sort of very high standards. I think we're starting to see them now shift through the gears, warm up a little bit on the server, get more calm, more confident. The up down in pit, as you can see here. And none of Vitality were interested in picking it up. They want Zywoo on the AK, that run and gun style approach.
Tactical pause going to be brought in. Second being used here. Again, another opportunity for the teams to communicate with Ash.
It's been a pretty bleak CT start so far. 3 unanswered rounds, well 4 actually now, have been dialed in. Zywoo's up to 130 odd ADR, 16 plus kills with a ton of assists alongside it. And Mezzy's also popping off. A ton of entries on this T-half. This is a shot that Slend was able to muster, but I can't even blame him for this one. Just all his teammates around him fell down, and that's always going to make the AWP such a fragile prospect when you're encircled.
Keep going. I think
Nice, keep going. Can't really argue with that. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Everything's going super smooth.
It's working well right now. And that's the difference, of course. Felt like momentum wasn't really easy to build for either team on the first half. A lot of reset rounds. Rounds potentially you should have won that went against you. Whereas here, off the back of the pistol, Vitality have just kept on hitting them with the battering ram. Every time they put up a defense, it just gets knocked straight back down. And of course, you waited the extra period of time, saving for the extra util, for the AWP on Slend. And we were saying he can be a big amount of impact, but only the 1 kill with no room for anyone else to assist, then it falls away. You're not going to get that back in your hands. So again, you're back down in the doldrums, figuring out how the buy's going to look, what you're going to be working with going back into this one, and how to keep some cash in the bank for Slend later on into this matchup. But that's the real problem, Vince, right? That's later in this matchup, whereas right now, Vitality already on 10. The hot commodity of the rounds, they've been sucking those up, starting to put them in the bank, have a nice buffer to work with. If you find this one up against the mishmash weapons, they're on 11. By the time Slend gets his next AWP out, it could be too late.
That's precisely it. You are effectively playing almost an all-in style for round 18. Up close, MP9 slightly off on the headshot angle. A lot of damage inflicted. But once again, the AK prevailing. Spinks on point to deliver for his 12th time in the map. And this should activate Zywoo. Apex a lot of damage onto Torsen. Now they're going to start to explode outside a balcony. They know 1 player is on the site, but it's more about the Slend Deagle they have to contend with, and he's been double smoked off with a HE sat behind it. Damage inflicted alongside it, not going into the plant just yet. ZywOo has plenty of time left on the clock, doesn't need to rush this one. And CTR wants to get aggressive out into the open and take the fight to Vitality, but 3 separate eyes, just staring him down. And the barrel of the gun is going to finish him off sooner rather than later. Another smoke. Just being choked out of this round. First kill is good though. It was the low Spinks, and now he's locked into the alcove. Surely no hope for ZTR.
We'd said it before, and he'd made some crazy plays to make it look like it was still around. He could win. This time in the 1v2, trapped in the corner, spotted, tagged, and bagged. And ZywOo stops it before it gets out of hand. 18 kills on ZywOo as well. This was the opening gambit, the play inside of Abs. Felt like there would have been more. The 2-player face on the first contact. Volt try as he might as well to reset it. Did a lot of damage, but obviously couldn't find anything from that. Let ZTR get one.
Nice!
But the round was all Vitality. Apex enjoying that one.
Oh, GamerLegion, I'm going to have to try and turn that smile into a frown. We're building up this round as probably being the last chance saloon for GamerLegion. They lose this, money's back into the bin, and it's going to be 6 match points. So they've got to get impact early on here. Going for another couple players up in the apps, but more defensively minded. Slen falls back into pit once more. A lot of damage from grenades. Solid damage at that, but not sticking for any frags. However, GamerLegion have taken banana control. A deep smoke to the bottom allows Torsten to hold position and effectively play by himself on B. And so they retreat ZTR back over onto the A side of the map. Second smoke now also delivered, and the spray is good. Oh, 3 kills back to back, shutting this round down.
They thought they had him banged to rights. Knew the timing on the smoke was about to fade. Trying to beat the peak from him. Oh, I thought it was going to go so wrong with the time, but he plays it perfectly on the connection. Great control, the recoil. And 3 kills off the back of it. Ices out the round and leaves Vitality sweating now. I mean, 30 seconds. 2 versus 5. GamerLegion, you can just sit back, keep the good times rolling. Wait for the duo on Vitality to force the issue. With the Incendiary burning at the top of Banana and a follow-up HE coming in, they're leaving themselves with too little time to actually make a play on this. You've got to run straight in, get both of the picks, and get the bomb down. 5 seconds on the clock, no one's beginning to plant. You find your way through the first 2. Spinks might stay alive, but he can't win the round off the back of the time. And GamerLegion, they get that one. Torsten with a free K on Banana. Damn, Vince, the smoke shots there.
Really nice, yeah. They kind of lined up for him, but his recall control, the spray transfer was on point. I actually liked that play at the end, though. They died before time, which doesn't really matter that much when you have so much cash. But importantly, they did get a couple of kills, and they denied multiple players picking up rifles, the AKs that were on Banana. There was only one that got taken over from Flamus. If they just bypassed that and gave it up, that would have been 2 AKs, or even 3, that could have been traded up to. So I like Vitality's decision-making there, even though it did look a little bit odd in the dying embers of the rounds. Torsten, success in the last round. This time, he's paid the penalty. 11 HP remains in the opening few seconds of the round.
He's got to pass the baton now, tag himself out, wrap back off, play a more defensive angle. Meanwhile, Slend sees the shoulder peak inside a boiler. Flames E going for the information. But all he gets is a gift of a bullet straight to the face. Still got 2 incendiaries left on the floor as well towards the B site. CTR, he's going to go down. Found out towards top Banana. Torsten, low on health but tucking in. Volt, he was playing anti-flash. Smoke goes up. It's going to nullify his angle with a waterfall. Really going to try and bail him out on this one, Torsten. Set him up with the utility. They forced him back round towards Ruins. They've secured the site. 4 versus 3. Pepper and bullets back into the smoke, and the bombs arriving on the back of ZywOo.
Excellent timing on these flashbangs as well. Molotov is going to go in, and ZywOo finished off the HE Molly combo, dealing death to the Starman, but he's got the bomb planted down and now can sit back and relax a little bit and watch on as Mezzy, Spinks, and Apex try and pull off this 3v3. Molotov tossed in. Spinks can now focus attention to Banana, but the spray is off, and he will be punished. And now Mezzy was all smiles earlier on, but he's been nailed point blank by Slend. A much better round from him individually, and GamerLegion live to fight another day. They're refusing to go down.
And those are intelligent kills from the AWPer as well, right? Good play off the back of his teammates, Molly. You get the HE straight in, resets himself, doesn't go overly aggressive, plays off the back of the information he's got. Wins out in the 1v1 versus Mezzy, so the round can't get any more messy. And now it's looking like there is still some fight. This is good to see. It was a worrying scoreline, right? We were kind of hyping up the fact that obviously if it all goes wrong with that first AWP investment or the last AWP investment they might have into the game, that's where it could have been dead and gone. Instead, that's the start back in. Bit of a different vibe as well. The fist bump's coming back out from Ash. And, I mean, overall, Vince, right? Even if it ended there, if it was what it was, I think that's more impactful where Slend, you're going to have a slow start going into this RMR. It could prey on you a little bit. So for him, the fact that he's been able to reset that, shake that off, and show up in this very map and keep his team in it bodes a whole lot better.
Yeah, completely agreed. It's great for confidence, and you started to see like what he's actually capable of up close in these static sort of positions is where he typically thrives. That third kill in particular, like if Mezzy gets that, there is a way forward for a clutch. He knew one player was Banana. So very importantly, nailed in for his third of the round. But that's only the beginning of the comeback. They have to stay on this trail. Not fall away and fade into obscurity towards the end of this map. Na'Vi won in their game, by the way, 13-9 is a quick update on the first stream. So Na'Vi already through to that 1-0 bracket, but ZywOo puts bullets to faces, doubles up and takes the site by himself.
You say Na'Vi, well ZywOo, he is born to conquer. Straight into the back of the bomb site, mate. Lovely entries there. And again, right, that's the brutal part of it. Those two frags are worth their weight in gold. You know you're going to get a match point off the back of this now in the BO1. You're opening Perfect World RMR BO1. And for GamerLegion, it's just about holding on to what you've got. You need to keep all three of these weapons alive. The two AKs, the AWP on Slend. Drag those into the next. They were starting a bit of a comeback, but now it gets even harder. You have no room for error now from this point forward.
And ZywOo's like, how dare you speak of Na'Vi when you're casting us? Let me remind you of just how good I am. And he hasn't even played with the AWP a single time this T-half, but that has been a consistent theme. This is what makes ZywOo such an absolute monster. He can do it with pretty much any weapon in the game to a very, very high level. It really allows him as well, I think a byproduct that isn't talked about enough with how good ZywOo is with the rifles, is it allows them to have a much deeper and wider map pool as well. Because Inferno can be a map, and we saw this from Slend's perspective in the first half. He tried the T-side AWP multiple times, he finished the half with 1 or 2 kills, very little impact. To be able to pick up the AK and have this much kind of prowess and this much dominance and agency over the game, and it's worth its weight in gold if you're an AWPer on a team like ZywOo is right now.
Yeah, being able to hybrid between both the AWP and the rifle, especially in CS2, man, like the difference of the CT side economy, MR12, right? You've all seen the gameplay for about a year now. You know how it works, viewers at home. And this is why it can make such a world of difference. These quick engages, the bursts out where you need some tasty taps, some sprays to shut down the opposition. Get those quick fire kills off, and it throws them here. 1 round away, Vitality looking to close their opening best of 1. GamerLegion, can they dig deep, get the feet down, try and fight for survival? Slend, this time not starting over towards the A site. 3-player setup on B. He's there with a scope posted up at the back. Flammer's frozen the deep HE and the incendiary to buy time inside of the apartments as well. 3 nades down. ZywOo eating the damage but remains alive on 28.
Has an iron chin with how many nades he just took there, and he's still standing. Albeit limping. This is where the rest of the team now can start to pick up the slack though. Mezzy going to be leading the call. Torsen up close, smoke in just in time. Nearly gets picked off though, and they boost up onto the wall. Flash through, but Torsen playing anti-flash has bypassed that one magnificently and will repel the invaders. They have been forced away. Torsen single-handedly pretty much forces them back with an accompanying flash from ZTR, and Vitality staggering.
Unconfirmed damage onto ZywOo, but a hell of a tag. So low off the 3 nades that it was nearly the full conversion from the spam in the smoke. And Torsten, it was looking worrying. The fact he gets that pick and gets out alive makes a world of difference here into the 21st round. 30 seconds on the clock. Getting themselves grouped up inside of the smoke. Torsten, anti-flash on the top angle. He's on the top rope, but can he hit him with the elbow? Drops back on the second oranges for now. Time being wasted. Flashbang's good. Peeks in, but Flames, even through the flash, it's heavy with the AK. 12 seconds as they get themselves on the site. Apex punches in the digits. The bomb's gone down. And the script well and truly flipped. It's up to GamerLegion now on the retake 4v4.
2 players on 2 HP though for Vitality, a straight bullet and they're dead. Lack of utility though, you'd love to have HEs or incendiaries at this point, but it's just 2 flashes. And they're trying to retake with the AWP as well. Slend goes in for the first. Flamesy punched up though, is going to deliver damage. But now Spinks and ZywOo with 2 HP between the 2 of them have got to really shine and deliver, and Spinks is doing just that with ZywOo. Vitality clutch out and take it 13-8.
The 4 HP between the both of them, and they make it look clean. Spinks given the 1v1s he wanted. Slend on the peek out just didn't have the full read of the round with the amount of damage done onto them, so he takes the swing